What if the NFL's next great quarterback wasn't a top draft pick, wasn't hyped by the media, and wasn't even expected to start? What if he's already in the league, quietly turning into a star, and no one's paying attention? Bo Nix entered the NFL without the spotlight. No top 3 selection, no massive buzz. But under Sean Payton in Denver, he's showing poise, precision, and football IQ that looks eerily similar to Drew Brees. And here's the scary part. He's only just getting started. But before we break down how Bo Nix is shocking the league, we need to rewind. Back to Alabama, where a young quarterback first started chasing a dream in orange and blue. After being born in Arkansas in 2000, Bo Nix and family moved over to the football-centric state of Alabama. As the son of a former Auburn Tiger, Patrick Nix, there was never any debate surrounding who young Bo would be rooting for. Football ran deep in the Nix bloodlines, and their allegiances always lay with Auburn. So the dream was set. And for Bo, he had the rare opportunity to begin hunting that dream with his father as his coach. At Pinson Valley High School, Bo became a hometown superstar, leading the team to back-to-back state championships while piling up video game numbers. These came in the form of 12,000 total yards and 161 total touchdowns, culminating in him being named Alabama's Mr. Football in his senior season in 2018. Alabama is certainly not a bad state to earn that crown in, given all of its football heritage. And Nix got the added bonus of being widely regarded as a 4 or 5-star recruit and the nation's top dual-threat quarterback in the 2019 class. The offers came flooding in from far and wide. But there was only ever going to be one school to earn his commitment, his beloved Auburn Tigers. Bo had officially followed in the footsteps of his father, and now his new goal was to do what his father never could and leverage that opportunity into a pro career. Things couldn't have started much better for Nix, who was named the starting quarterback for the 2019 season. This made him the first freshman quarterback to start for Auburn in 70 years, and he celebrated the achievement with a 27-21 debut victory over Oregon. Despite throwing 2 interceptions on the day, Nix outdueled Justin Herbert and the Ducks, passing for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also notching 42 yards on the ground. The wins kept coming for Nix, who started his college career with 5 straight before closing his freshman campaign with a dramatic 48-45 win over none other than Alabama. For a kid who grew up in a Tigers household, to defeat the legendary Crimson Tide program in your first ever Iron Bowl appearance as a freshman is simply unbelievable. An epic second quarter saw the two teams combine for 48 points, but in the end, it was Nix's 217 total yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions that helped get the job done. It was the dream start to life at Auburn for Nix, whose first ever season of college football yielded a 57.6% completion rate for 2,542 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, in addition to 313 yards and 7 scores on the ground. For his efforts, he was named the 2019 SEC Freshman of the Year. Talk about an instant impact. It doesn't get much tougher than being a freshman quarterback in the SEC, but Bo Nix had proven just how good he could be and why he deserved his status as a 5-star recruit. He had laid the perfect foundations to build a dominant college career, but he never quite managed to capitalize on it whilst at Auburn. His sophomore campaign saw his completion percentage remain below 60%, while his touchdowns ticked down to 12 and his interceptions ticked up to 7. Then, in 2021, the struggles continued. Under new head coach Brian Harsin, the Tigers suffered their first losing season in 9 years. Nix did see his completion percentage improve to over 60% for the first time in his career, but a broken ankle ended his season 3 games early, capping him at 2,294 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Nix would later admit that he had been miserable playing under Brian Harsin, and with his numbers never truly showing signs of significant improvement, it was time for a change. Nix entered the transfer portal ahead of the 2022 season in search of a fresh start. His dream of playing for Auburn hadn't quite delivered the happy ending he was hoping for, but it had provided some invaluable experience, which he could now try and hone into bigger and better things away from home. This reset took Nix 2,500 miles cross country to Eugene, where he found a new lease on life. As the starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, under new head coach Dan Lanning, Nix was given more freedom to tap into his creative instincts. He made up for a disastrous debut against Georgia, in which Oregon lost by 49 points to 3 by winning 8 straight, playing with a newfound confidence and quality. During that 8-game win streak, Nix contributed 22 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions through the air, whilst also adding 13 touchdowns on the ground. He was a scoring machine, highlighted by a 5-touchdown outing against UCLA and a 6 total touchdown outing against Cal. He then capped off the year by completing 76.7% of his passes for 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception in a Holiday Bowl win over Drake May and the North Carolina Tar Heels. This took his season-long tally to 3,593 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions at a 71.9% completion rate, to go along with a career-high 510 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. The disastrous debut against Georgia was forgotten and forgiven, as Nix led the Ducks to a 10-3 record and a high ranking of 6. The tough decision to depart from Auburn had already been vindicated, but what happened in 2023 took things up to a level nobody even knew was possible. Now entering his 5th season of college ball, Nix had refined his craft, improved his throwing motion, and was seeing things much more clearly than he ever did in Auburn. The result was a stunning 77.4% completion rate in 2023, which led the nation and set a new NCAA record, producing 4,508 yards, 45 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions. He also collected 234 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground, en route to a 12-2 record and the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year award. Nix was masterful on short and intermediate passes all year long, using his experience to quickly decipher defenses and deliver passes with superb accuracy, making it nice and easy for draft analysts and scouts to compare him to the great Drew Brees. But he could sling it deep as well. Nix completed an impressive 51% of his passes of over 20 yards, producing 999 yards, 13 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. PFF assigned Nix a 92.7 passing grade for the 2023 season, which was the best among all quarterbacks. Now, a big part of this success did come from the offensive scheme at Oregon. An RPO-heavy offense with a lot of screens and easy reads made life extremely comfortable for Nix, who also benefited from a ton of yards after the catch. Nevertheless, whenever he was asked to read things out and make NFL throws, he did so very well, and signs of good potential within a true NFL offense were clear to see. The Denver Broncos clearly believed that was the case, selecting Bo Nix 12th overall in the 2024 NFL Draft, making him the 6th quarterback off the board. With Payton having had so much success earlier in his career with Drew Brees, this was a natural pairing, but there were plenty who believed Nix was taken too high, not wanting to trust his ability to thrive outside of an Oregon-style offense. Those doubters would have felt vindicated when Bo looked completely out of his depth in the first 2 weeks of the season. The Broncos lost to both Seattle and Pittsburgh, with their rookie quarterback tossing 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. Payton was keeping things easy for his quarterback and restricting him to mostly short passes, which looked necessary, as any attempts to throw past the sticks looked destined for disaster. But then, just like he had done his first season at Oregon, Nix banished those poor performances to the back of his mind and got to work, which is where we get to the scary truth that is flourishing in Denver. Nix led the Broncos to victories in each of their next 3 games before going on a superb run that saw him rapidly elevate from lost rookie status to becoming one of the best and most efficient quarterbacks in the league. Between weeks 3 and 13, he tossed 14 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions, adding another 3 scores on the ground. His performances had transformed Denver's offense, and he looked like a veteran presence playing well beyond his rookie status. In Week 8, Nix completed 75.7% of his passes for a season-high 284 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions to down Carolina by 28 points to 14. Then, in Week 11, he bested that by completing a whopping 84.9% of his passes for 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions against Atlanta in a 38-6 hammering. This outing made Nix the first rookie in NFL history to top an 80% completion rate with over 300 yards and at least 4 touchdowns in a game. As a result, the Broncos' exciting young quarterback was now well and truly at the forefront of the Offensive Rookie of the Year race. Down the stretch, Nix torched Indianapolis with 3 touchdowns before completing 72.5% of his passes for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns against the LA Chargers, who were the league's best scoring defense in 2024. Then, another 219 yards and 3 touchdowns was almost enough to outduel Joe Burrow in Cincinnati in a game where Nix completed 77.4% of his passes but couldn't get the win in overtime. To cap off a sensational rookie campaign, Nix demolished the Kansas City Chiefs backups in Week 18, completing 26 of his 29 pass attempts for 321 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and another 47 yards on the ground. While the Buffalo Bills were predictably too much for Denver in the wildcard round of the playoffs, the fact that the Broncos had even earned a playoff berth was worthy of celebration on its own. This team had suffered a playoff drought and a painful rotation of poor quarterback play ever since their glorious 2015 season. And over the course of 1 year, Nix had got them back to winning ways. He had completely outplayed expectations at a time when Denver were significantly hampered by the lingering effects of the disastrous Russell Wilson contract and expected to still be at least a year away from winning football. Nix finished his rookie campaign with a 66.3% completion rate for 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, whilst also picking up 430 yards and 4 touchdowns as a rusher. Not only had Nix proven the doubters wrong, absolutely vindicating the Broncos' decision to draft him 12th overall, but he had also unveiled a scary truth about the situation in Denver, because Bo Nix is just getting started. This Denver offense wasn't meant to be good in 2024. The rushing offense ranked middle of the pack with 112 rushing yards per game, and only Courtland Sutton managed to scrape past 1,000 yards as a receiver. The next best was Marvin Mims with 503. Put it this way, there weren't exactly many weapons for Nix to make the most of, and with an improved arsenal of playmakers available to him in 2025, who knows how high his ceiling is. With Evan Ingram already arriving to bolster the pass-catching group, and a superb class of running backs available in the 2025 draft, not to mention some intriguing options at tight end and wide receiver, the future is certainly bright for Bo Nix in Denver. Then, when you remember that it's Sean Payton who is pulling the strings and imparting decades worth of knowledge on his young quarterback, you really couldn't ask for a much better setup. We think Bo Nix's potential in Denver is endless. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments.